Hey guys, I am super late to the party, but I just finished the Netflix adaptation of One Piece. I have not seen the original show, and I don't really watch a lot of anime aside from Avatar and Miyazaki, my boys, so I thought I could offer a different perspective. On its own merits, for newbies, is this show worth watching?
One Piece.
Episode 1. I'm a big fan of how each episode has a different title screen. I haven't seen that since Frasier, and wow, that's a crossover I need.
Next thing I knew, she ordered me out of the house. I barely had time to grab my pantaloons and buckle my swash.
First off, episode 1 has great pacing. Many characters are set up, and I never felt like it was rushed. They all got just enough depth. I understood all their quirks and motivations. I understood the general vibe of this world, its factions, and its madness. The music is swashbuckling fun, and there's a good variety of acoustic instruments. But without a doubt, the best part of the show, from this episode to the end, is the main character, both in the script and the performance. In a sea, it's been kind of a modern thing to have dull, bitchy, or otherwise unengaging protagonists. And Luffy is a breath of fresh air. He's not what I call an insert yourself here protagonist, like a blank slate. He's optimistic, but naive. He's cocky, with some fire in his belly, but true to his morals. The actor does good work, making him well-rounded and consistent. The voice, the mannerisms, that walk he does are all like building blocks to his character. More than anything else, the actor seems dedicated to the role. He doesn't half-ass a single scene. And when you play larger-than-life weirdos, you gotta go all in, and he does. I do think, I have to stress this, Luffy is likable. He's very likable. It's easy to root for him. I didn't necessarily see Luffy as stupid. I just saw him as kind of naive. He thinks he's invincible. He doesn't understand the point of melodrama or disagreements or negativity. In a weird way, he kind of reminded me of myself when I was younger. But yeah, Luffy, I have to stress, is a very lovable character, and he was kind of my anchor throughout this entire show. It's easy to root for him, and this is the kind of person who actually instills joy in people's lives. You know those dipshits on YouTube who throw basketballs at strangers? They can learn a lot from Luffy as far as making the world a better place or more fun. The show is flawed. It is not a perfect show, and people giving it 10 out of 10 are either have doe eyes or just kidding themselves. But it can at least stand on its own merits. Its loyal fan base don't need to sink to the depths of, using bots to spam comment sections with praise. Unlike the upcoming The Marvels, by the way. Sweet Jesus, if you want to see something wild, check out the comment section on the Marvels trailer. It's like Skynet. This is, like I said with the pacing, this is a tight episode, and I love it for that. The craziness of the world definitely helps, so it doesn't need to kind of over-explain the government or the hairdos. It's a weird world, so catch up. That's the vibe I kind of got, and you just have to roll with this world, and I did. This episode did, overall, a great job pulling me into this world, setting up the main characters, which at this point are Luffy, Nami, and Zoro, and I liked all three of them. For the setup, for the pacing, for the story threads, it was a pleasant surprise for a show that based on the trailer, I didn't think was going to be very good. For this episode, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. I think it's a great setup. All right, episode 2. Something about the clown doesn't work. I love his powers. The limbs flying around look fake as shit, but I don't think there's actually a way to make him look good. It's like the stretching. It's going to look unnatural, so why not lean into that? The powers I am more than cool with. The problem I have is the performance and the dialogue. He's so mid. He's not scary. He's not intimidating. He's not funny. He's not clever. He's not deep. He's not that interesting. And he's just some angry guy who seems like he rolled in from a different show and put on the clown nose. It didn't work for me. I don't know. I never got any kind of emotional response from Buggy the Clown other than slight annoyance. You know, strangely enough, I'm also really disappointed with the sets and the visuals in general in this episode. Like, mixing circus and horror has been done a million times. Honestly, like, One Piece is not doing much to really innovate in this territory. I honestly don't really have much to say. I like our three main characters and they're dynamic. The clown's powers are fun. The music is solid, as always. The flashbacks I actually like, but it's like the entire episode is banking on this one character. And it's a gamble that didn't pay off for me. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. All right, episode 3. Set decorate. I gotta do that again. The set decoration, while being a little random at points, does a good job setting the scene of the drama in this mansion. This woman is filthy rich, right? But she fantasizes about adventure. So all the rooms in the hallways are posh, but her bedroom is full of stars and colors, and it's like a little girl's room. You almost expect like a picture of Jacob from Twilight or something. And this makes sense for her character. She does nothing but dream of the outside world because she's so restrained and kind of infantile. Music, it continues to be great. There's a string refrain. It's like a single note that repeats over low percussion. Simple but foreboding. Also, props to making the girl actually look ill. A lot of shows, they try to make someone look sick, and it's like they don't want to sacrifice her looks in order to do so. Here, she actually looks like she's going to throw up any second. The main crew continue to improve. Nami is getting more interesting in each episode. I was really afraid they're going to go some Disney girl boss with her, and man, I am so happy they didn't do that. The overall like dynamic with them is still very argumentative, but you can get some sense of kinship starting to grow, and that's what I want to see in a series. Real quick, Usopp, is that how you pronounce this fucker's name? The episode introduces Usopp, this guy. He's the storyteller and wannabe adventurer character, and he's really more of a cipher than anything. Honestly, this is gonna be the shortest section. I'm gonna cut this short here because I have a lot more to say about other episodes, but overall, I liked this episode a lot, mostly for the visuals. It's striking. The plot itself is moving in a suspenseful direction, which I haven't really seen yet. And our characters are more fleshed out without losing their inherent charm. It's like this episode is just moving the entire plot into a really good direction. Stepping stone kind of episode. And I mean that in the best kind of way. 7 out of 10. All right, episode 4. Yeah, I mean, where do I start with episode 4? The butler and his pals have to be the stupidest villains I've ever seen in a show. Like, every part of their plan is so incompetent. I could spend an hour on small and large and important things that are massively wrong with this plan. But the biggest thing I just can't let go is the fact that they left a guy in a pit alive and they're like, hey buddy, you forgot your weapons. It's so bad. It's so terrible. The show is clearly going for an evil, meticulous thing with the butler, who has planned this for ages, right? But he's a fucking idiot. You have to be legitimately brain dead to do some of the things that they do. And I can let some stupid decisions slide. I mean, I watch horror movies. They're dumb decisions all the time. I have to say this very strongly as a writer. If you have to contort your characters in order for the plot to happen, go back and fix your script, because you're getting a C me on the top of your paper. All right, that is the definition of bad writing. So many shows have become painfully, patronizingly obvious with their themes. They force feed them to you with all the subtlety of a jackhammer. You know, it's the Barbie movie all over again. And this episode is no better. Climbing a wall while struggling with some situation from the past. Like, we get it. I've seen this trick. How many times are you gonna go with that? It's not interesting anymore. It's not clever. It's been done to death. And you keep doing it for like 20 minutes. Like, holy shit, I'm not an idiot. Why are you treating me like an idiot? Saying that, I did enjoy in the flashback the girl venting to Zoro about how he will naturally physically surpass her once he gets older. And I like how Zoro responds to this. It's a nice scene, and it's a topic isn't really addressed, at least not in this way. I guess my overall point is with the goofiness of like this world and the costumes and whew, are they goofy? I don't think One Piece should go too dramatic with these plot threads. Like, there's a way to create drama, and they do it in the show, but when they go melodramatic, when they blast the music and do the editing tricks, the show's not doing a good job with it. I'm sure the original did, but there's only 8 episodes, and so all these dramatic moments are super rushed. But some of the dialogue in this episode is horrendous. Oh my god, what was this one line? I had to write it down. Usopp says it. That line where Usopp goes, no, yeah. So Usopp's with Kaya, and Kaya goes, the security features, they keep the pirates out. And then Usopp goes, but yeah, but now they're keeping the pirates in with us. It's so bad. Speaking of Usopp, he's a very limited character. They run the boy who cried wolf metaphor into the ground, and the actor looks like he's gonna cry in every shot. When they take him on board at the end of the episode, I dearly wanted for them to take Kaya instead. You know, yeah, it's a deviation from the original material, but she's more interesting. Watching a sheltered and poisoned girl rediscovering her health and adventure on the high seas, that's a great story. But sure, we'll take this one-dimensional doofus with a slingshot. This was a bad episode, and I blame most of it on the script. So, 4 out of 10. Now we get to episode 5. This episode was dope! Man, for anyone who is really angry at me for my last bit, you're in good luck, because episode 5 was really good. Few things. Usopp is on board, being useless and unfunny, but luckily, we find a new location, the wonderfully designed restaurant on the ocean. With fantasy, I want to see the original, the new, the weird. That's the whole point. You know, if you trot out the same dark hallways and story threads, like episode 4, I'm bored, unless you have something really good going on, which that episode didn't. But this restaurant ship is a fresh image, and I like it. It's one of those locations where I wanted to actually step inside. I like the art direction in general here. The restaurant pops with vibrancy from the set design all the way to the props. It's the first time I actually wanted to be in the world of the show. The costume design is as engaging as ever, although it is confusing on occasion, like some people wearing polo shirts or something else from the Gap. It breaks the immersion a little bit. I'll roll with it. The reasoning of it's a fantasy or it's absurd can go far, but it's not infinite. You know, whatever. I'm enjoying my time watching this episode. Cook is a nice addition. Got Sanji. Yeah, Sanji the cook is a nice addition, as well as the head chef. Sanji is like a mix of Luffy's passion and Zoro's dedication. And they also introduced the warlord Mihawk. Why do they play Spanish guitar when he's clearly British? I don't know. Why is the cross guard on the sword as big as the blade? Who cares? What bothers me is the fight choreography is starting to get a little repetitive. Like low hits, twirl, counter, pose at the end. Like there's gotta be a little bit more to show me. Still, the warlord is very fun to watch, and there's a particular shot of him cutting some bullets that's pretty badass. The music choices continue to impress me. In fact, I think this episode probably has some of the coolest choices of music. When there's a scene where Sanji starts talking about his main goal in life, and the music turns into this smoky, jazzy, film noir kind of bit that not only works for the scene, but is unexpected. It's sexy. You know, to me, it's important to acknowledge that ingenuity is not just crazy visuals. You know, it can be found everywhere from sets to sound design. That was a really nice choice. This was such a step up. I mean, halfway through episode 4, I was checking the runtime. Halfway through episode 5, I didn't even realize it was half over. I mean, this episode flew by. And it's moving faster primarily because of the script. The dialogue has a spark to it. Sometimes be difficult to define good writing. You can see it when it's there. You can feel it pop, you know? You can feel the characters have something interesting and engaging to say, where the dynamic is working. It's hard to describe, but you know what's there and you know when it's gone. And for here, it's definitely there. There's tension and comedy in the right places. Episode 5 does have a bit of a rough landing. Again, I don't think the dramatic moments work. They're cheesy, they're not written well, but overall, this was a great episode with excellent pacing, music, art direction, and even a good chunk of its dialogue. I know I've been throwing some criticisms at it, but overall, this episode was a visual treat, an auditory treat, and it was great seeing all these characters continue to build a camaraderie. I give this one 8 out of 10. Loved it.
早くしろチビナス
All right, episode 6. One of the many things I didn't expect in this kind of show. I dig it. As surprising as it was to see this focus on food, it does make sense. One Piece is about people's passions, after all. A pirate king, a sword master, a chef. You know, as different as these goals are, the stubborn drive for them connects them. So honestly, One Piece can pretty much trot out any character motivation, and as long as they have that fire for it, it will match in this world. It'll work. Here we go. So, Zoro's injury, it doesn't look that bad. Like, walk it off, bro. Like, okay, yeah, like, it's a big cut. Sure, it doesn't look very deep. And they keep saying that he's lost a lot of blood, but there's, like, almost none. It's also not really, it's not very good makeup. It's a very small thing that does not affect my grade of the episode, but, you know, the whole drama of this episode is Zoro's health, so, you know, blood would have been nice. Blood would have been kind of cool. Another thing, something I haven't pointed out, every episode there's a new costume for the main characters, and I like them every time. Yeah, I think the costume design for all the main characters is spot on. Did I mention I love Luffy? Love the guy. As a critic, as a writer, as a person, I would want him in my actual life. And in a story I write. I mean, he's a great character. One of Luffy's more interesting traits is his optimism that borders on naivete. And in episode 6, we see the ramifications of that. Even if he is supernaturally lucky, that doesn't mean his crew is. And not only that, but his leadership in general is called into question. The way these themes are introduced is not subtle, but it's better than episode 4, and it's good to see our gang face a threat that they may not weather. Up until now, the duel and its results, I had never once thought our heroes were in actual danger, but now I do. I also enjoy every scene between Garp and Cody in any given episode. The mentor-cadet relationship would already be interesting, but the fact that the mentor here might be manipulating the cadet is even better. Oh, Alex, that's a really good point. I was thinking that too. I was wondering why Sanji only kicks. And Alex in my chat said in the show they explain that it's because a cook should never damage his hands. I feel like they could have thrown one line in there about that. That would have been great. That would have been a cute line. They should have thrown that in there. That's a shame. Yeah, I would have liked that line. Oh, can someone remind me why Usopp is in this show? The fight scenes are a little better in this episode. The twist is solid with Nami, because I kept expecting a fake out that didn't happen. And small visual note, the navy blue and white color grading for the marine scenes is a good touch. It gives the scenes a severe clinical look, and it's a nice contrast with all the piracy. Overall though, good episode. The flashback was well acted. It definitely established both the bond and tension between those two characters. But for me, the best parts of this episode were focused on character building, especially with Luffy and with Kobe. And, oh boy, like someone new on the crew that I'm actually excited about. Oh, and also more bonus points for the fact that this head chef can look and act this masculine with like like a schoolgirl's pigtails dangling from his mouth. I mean, that's a tough act, and he manages to pull it off. I'm gonna give this one a 7. All right, episode 7. You know, the one that everyone was overreacting to online. You gotta love it. First off, I like Buggy more as a severed head. Like, no joke, his dialogue is better. The performance is more suited for this now more pathetic kind of character. And bonus points for a sea shanty about a girl's butt. Pretty funny. So yeah, I like Buggy now. He keep his head in a bag. keep him powerless and miserable. He's much funnier that way. So keep him as a head comedy relief. He's making me laugh more. He's making me laugh way more than Usopp. So I will gladly trade Usopp for the severed head. It's logical to use these flashbacks to flesh out the characters. It makes sense. The problem is, one, it's starting to get repetitive how every episode ends with a big, sentimental, bordering on sappy moment to wrap up this past versus present drama. It's happened 3 times now. Like, it's starting to get a little predictable. And 2, and this is more important, the flashbacks just aren't as good. They're not as good as what's going on in the main story. This main story is thrilling. I kind of love it. So I question how necessary these flashbacks are. I would say Nami's is probably the most important plot-wise, but it also kind of goes on for a really long time. And again, you can get almost as much depth from these people through their actions, their chemistry, and their conversations. It's like the show is literally holding up a sign going, here is the hero as a child. Here is their motivation. Here is their trauma. You know, and you will bet this will come back later. Like, it's ham-fisted. It's a Cliff Notes to a character. You only have 8 episodes, so I understand that they couldn't necessarily string all of these different flashbacks for characters along. They take so much time out of the episode, and like I said before, I just don't think they're written that well. I also don't think the young Nami is a very good actress. Can someone remind me why Usopp is here? This episode focuses on the Fishmen pirates, and I gotta say, and I'm gonna get so much heat for this, they're lame. I'm glad they use makeup and prosthetics rather than CGI. In general, One Piece seems to have a villain problem. Garp is at least interesting because of his interactions with Kobe, and the British Spaniard is a decent rogue, but the rest are just kind of non-threatening and look stupid. Even with the fish pirates not being very interesting, I love a good tiki bar. Nice set, you know? And it looks pretty authentic. I've been to tiki bars and all that. I love how Sanji is kind of a cockhound. He can't help but flirt pretty much every woman he sees, and he understands that oftentimes the best way to a woman's heart is through her stomach. I want to see more interplay between him and Zoro. We get a little bit of that in episode 8. I'm hoping there's a lot more of that in season 2, because it could be a really good buddy cop situation. What's great about this episode in particular is that they split people off into pairs. Like, you get a little bit of Luffy and Zoro, you get the Vice Admiral and the Chef, like I mentioned. Give me more Kobe and I can't pronounce dumb hair name, Helmeppo. Give me more of that. Give me more camaraderie. There's so much to expand on. There's so many dynamics to explore.
Should have known from the way they both love meat.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Speaking of Kobe and Mr. Dumbhair, their relationship is actually one of my favorite story arcs in this season. It's up and down, it's full of disagreement, jealousy, as well as a sense of duty and growing respect for each other. Having characters pounding shots together is a pretty cheap way to bring them together if the story didn't earn it. Suicide Squad is probably the worst example, but One Piece earns it. They earn the drinking scenes. Nami's big sad moment with the treasure chest is exactly what I'm worried about with modern content. You know, like, our attention spans go down, so let's establish and resolve a whole character drama in 20 minutes. And then we'll blast the ever-living fuck out of the soundtrack. It's really rushed. From a writing perspective, it doesn't work, and it doesn't give me that emotional high. And I like being emotionally high, you know? It's like one of the few drugs I have. Episode 7 is not a bad episode by any means. Some conversation scenes carry it. Luffy is wonderful as always. You know I love Luffy. The story beats, the music, even the visuals are all a step down. And they have been ungraciously slathered in unearned melodrama. I have to give this one a 6. Episode 8. Quick question. Can someone remind me why Usopp is still here? Just want to ask why he's still here. I'm a little mixed on some of the set design in general in this show. I mean, some of it's great, but the Marine office and the map room in this episode, they look like sets. You know, they're artificial and they're not lived in at all. I'm also a little mixed on the color grading in this finale. We move from a gray forest fight to a gray indoor fight and then to a gray outdoor fight. This is a fantasy with some exuberance so far. If the fight choreography gave me something to chew on, I wouldn't even notice, but it's just okay. Like, I think the fight choreography is just okay in this episode, and it's not a great thing considering a good portion of this episode is action. I mean, it is the finale. As much as the action didn't exactly wow me, I do like how Luffy switches his strategy mid-combat, destroying the environment instead of his opponent. It works well to change up the pace, and that final kick was awesome. I loved the kick. The Wanted poster is a perfect climax to the crew's progress, and a clever way to connect all the minor characters the crew met along the way. That was a nice bit of like connecting threads. Luffy's reaction to the sails is lovely. The fact they give a final toast with their legs is really random and fun. I'm sure there's a specific reason for it. I'm assuming they toast with their legs because Sanji starts it off. It's a fun switch up. I liked the fight between Garp and Luffy. Again, the fight choreography, not particularly good, but it's also not supposed to be. It's serving more of a story purpose. It's essentially a dad spanking his son, you know? And I think for a purposeful, story-driven fight, it functioned very well. 6 out of 10 is what I'm going to give this finale. So, overall, I like the season. I think there's a lot of potential here, and I would give the entire season a 7 out of 10. There is enough here to make me a fan of it, but not a fanboy because I can actually acknowledge its flaws. And there are definitely flaws to anchor me into the show. Now, finally, is the ranking of the episodes. So, from worst to best, the badly written episode 4, shocker, the underwhelming episode 2, the penultimate episode 7 with all its melodrama, the finale, episode 8, episode 6, episode 3, runner-up is episode 1 for having as good a setup as you can possibly imagine for such a zany show, which means that episode 5, with its sublime pacing, beautiful setting, smart music choices, and lovable characters, is my pick for the best in the season. But now I want to ask you, how would you rank the episodes? Why is Usopp still here? Let me know in the comments, say hi on Letterboxd or Discord so you can join one of these live streams, and check out the rest of the channel. Love all the support, and thanks for watching.